We hear with this transfiguration story the first mountaintop experience, this high spiritual experience that Peter, James, and John experienced. And I remember my own first real mountaintop experience that I can remember. And that is back when I was a senior in high school. I went on a men's retreat. And Saturday night we were in small groups and we prayed over each other, and I just remember being filled with the joy of the Lord in that moment. It was just so powerful, being affirmed that I was looking to be a priest and all these things. And I left there on cloud nine, and it even went into all day Sunday and into Monday. I was at school on Monday, and I was talking about it with one of my English teachers, and he said, "So have you come down the mountain yet?" I says, "What are you talking about?" You don't come down the mountain, you just stay up here, right? I didn't understand, and I thought he was just being cynical. Well, the next day I crashed. But that's the way it is. God gives us these high points in our spiritual life in order to strengthen us for further along, but we can't stay up there. Peter, James, and John, they're experiencing this high and incredible experience with Jesus being transfigured, and Moses and Elijah there, and Peter's saying, "We want to stay here. Let us set up 3 tents, one for you, one for Moses and Elijah." And Jesus says, "No, that's not the way it's supposed to be." As the cloud comes and says, "This is my son, my beloved. Listen to him." And then they go down the mountain, and we don't hear it in today's gospel, but it's immediately afterwards they go and they see this boy who is demonically possessed, and the disciples can't drive out the demon, and so Jesus has to drive it out. That they go down into the valley, into the normal things of life, and they have to bring that experience there and saying, okay, despite the fact that we can't see God's presence, we know He is here. And this was all done. Jesus allowed Peter, James, and John to be a part of this so that they could be prepared for Calvary. So that they could be prepared for the scandal of the cross. So that when it seemed that there was no hope, when it seemed that the end had happened and that God had been conquered, when it seemed that everything that they'd been doing for the last 3 years was destroyed, they would know, but wait, we saw Him transfigured. He's God. He can't be conquered. That they would have hope and not despair. And Jesus is giving us this transfiguration. He's saying, see, I've conquered death. Do not be afraid. And as I was pondering over this morning, thinking about what am I afraid of? Well, it's a lot of times I'm afraid of the cross. And Jesus says, I'm giving you these experiences, I'm giving you this feast day today so that you don't have to be afraid of the cross. So that you know that I've conquered death. So that the cross in your life I have overcome. Even if it seems to be going on and on and on, I will overcome that. Now sometimes there are big crosses, big Calvaries, where we think, for instance, of cancer or other struggles of sickness or family members who just are so fallen away, and we have such fear for them that we immediately say, we recognize this is a moment of suffering and we need to bring Jesus into it. God, help, because it's so overwhelming, we know we can't do it on our own. But there are all sorts of little crosses as well, little Calvaries that Jesus says, do not be afraid. That in my own life, I can say very often, it takes me a while for me to really remember, I need to bring Jesus' transfiguration into this. I need to recognize His power in this. You know, those little things like the irritation of having to wear a mask. You know, those little irritations where things just, when you get up in the morning and that ache in your body and you're having a hard time getting up. The little things that we experience day-to-day life. The parts of our vocation whether it be cleaning the house or doing the laundry or whatever it may be as part of our vocation, the boring things of our job, whatever it may be. Those are the moments where we can look and say, there's a cross. And there's hope even through this, to offer it into the hands of Almighty God. So let us bring this moment of transfiguration. And let us ask God to help us to bring that into all the crosses of our day. That in those moments where we struggle, in those moments where we lose hope, in those moments where it just seems to go on and on and on, and it feels like, well, there's no hope for this moment in our lives. The big and even the tiny and small ones. So that we can see God has conquered. And He's using this for His glory, if we but surrender it to Him.